Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub, everyone. Mutalib Dahir was the first. I'm hoping I get to pronounce your name right, Mutalib. Daniel Roberts there, and Sahil's here. And I'm also joined by FPL Salah, two big fat reds, but it was a long time ago, so we're happy by now, I think.
Yeah, that's forgotten about now, John. Move on to next week.
Until I brought it up again.
Yeah.
So, welcome everyone. Today we've lots to talk about. There's triple captaincy, there's double game weeks, there's transfers, there's new players, there's players gone. We've a lot. There's a lot of premium shifting, a lot of moving of premium
Yeah.
assets. I don't know if we want to dwell too much, but I suppose just to put everyone on a sort of show everyone where we're at or where you've been. It is a while ago, so we'll not dwell. You got 77 points in the last game week,
Mhm.
which was somehow a red arrow.
Yeah, it was a small red. I think if I got like 2 points more, it would have been a green.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was I wasn't too disappointed with that, John, because as I said, it was an average game week. It could have been a lot worse. It wasn't any like big threats against me that kind of hold big. So yeah, just hoping to kind of push on now, try to get into that top 100K.
Yeah, no, I think like 77 points being a minor red just shows kind of how competitive it is up in the
Yeah.
upper echelons of the ranks. I had a 70 pointer with the captaincy on Haaland, thankfully, but yeah, the rest of the team kind of just didn't quite do it. I think Ward was the worst decision. I keep patting myself in the back for the likes of I don't know, the Shaw since game week 17 and the whatever else is, but like
Mm.
Ward, I've had him since game week 17 and he hasn't kept a clean sheet since. So it's not like a lot, but I think when other people have had Kepa, it's definitely it's racked up to a few points by now. But
Yeah.
that's old news. We have a lot of talking points this week. There's a lot of kind of I don't know, semi-template transfers at this stage. We were talking beforehand. We'll reveal them later, but I think our transfers are pretty similar this week, as are
Yeah,
probably a lot of people's, but we'll get to that. First up, what are your initial thoughts on this double game week coming? Obviously, United and Leeds double. I'll ask
Mhm.
you it in an arse about way, and to an extent. Are there any Leeds guys that you've even batted an eyelid at, or have you kind of ghosted them?
I mean, me personally, and I think a lot of people will probably ghost them because, I mean, the thing is, I think we need to be concentrating more on United, Arsenal, and City because obviously United have got the dog game week this week and then United and Arsenal and City the week after. But the thing with Leeds assets is that I think Gnotto and Rodrigo are probably good options, right? But I think the only way I would kind of justify bringing a Leeds asset in is if you're already well set for double game week 22 and 23 as well. So if you already got a triple United, a triple City and a triple Arsenal, which I've seen a few teams already have, then you can probably go for a Gnotto, who's only 5 million. So, if you've got like a third striker there, like a Greenwood or a Evan Ferguson, then yeah, I guess it makes sense in that scenario. But I think generally, I'm not too keen on them.
Yeah, it's not really a priority, is it? It's a
No,
luxury.
not at all. Not at all. No. I mean, I think the double, yeah, they've got Forest, which is a good fixture, but then they've got United away. So
Yeah.
it's a kind of a game of two halves for them, really, isn't it?
Tell us about. I think my dog's just coming in. But will you tell us about the United assets? Is there anyone outside Rashford and Bruno people should be looking at? Obviously, a few of us have defenders, and while you're doing that, I'm going to check he's okay.
Yeah. So look, Shaw obviously I think is the best kind of defensive asset because I think there was a bit of worries because he missed the previous two games before the Nottingham Forest second leg through illness, but obviously he played against Forest yesterday, so he seems fine. I'd also be interested now in I think Martial came on and scored, so he's fit now. So I think that might kind of tempt people to go there, but personally I wouldn't. I just think he's way too injury prone. And I think obviously with Weghorst there, his minutes are going to be reduced, quite a lot. There's probably not even a guarantee that he starts both the games. But for people who have got Martial, it's going to be a decision now. I think they'll probably be forced to hold him if you've already got him. But I think if you're buying United assets, for me, obviously Rashford number one, Bruno number two, and then Luke Shaw, for your third
Casemiro,
asset.
is he in there?
I
There's no
mean,
space
not
for
for
him. Probably there's probably just
there's
no
no
space
space
for
for
him.
him. I mean, 4.9 million, great price, of course, but I guess if you're in a position where you can't get a Bruno for without taking a hit or getting rid of like one of your good assets like a KDB or something, then yeah. But I think with how a lot of our teams are set up now, John, I don't think money's a problem. So
Mm.
nah, I mean, I just think Rashford and Bruno are just kind of far ahead, better options than Casemiro. So
Speaking of,
I'd be giving him a miss.
sorry, with a small delay there. Speaking of money not being a problem, is the pricing
Mm.
off this season? I was talking to FPL General yesterday on my own channel, and
Mm.
he was sort of saying about how like this season everyone seems to be able to have like triple Newcastle, triple City, triple Arsenal, triple United. Not a bother. Do you think the pricing was off, or do you think it's just quite an unexpected season? You know, the big at the back hasn't panned out, some of the premiums haven't
Well,
panned
yeah.
out. What's it come down to?
Well, but firstly, I do think the prices were quite lenient. But on top of that, I think what's happened is obviously with the likes of Cancelo and Trent, not being the assets that we thought they were. Cancelo obviously going away to Bayern, and he became like a dead option in the last few weeks anyway. And Trent being terrible this season as well. That's given us a lot of money to kind of pump into the rest of our squad. So I think yeah, the pricing was lenient, but it wasn't it wasn't mega lenient. I don't think it was too bad, but I do think the loss of Trent and Cancelo's played a big part in that. On top of that, I think Haaland being priced at, I think it was 11 million to start with, was seriously underpriced. So yeah, it's just a combination of those things, and I think now even we've got to add Salah into the mix as well. He's not the kind of essential asset he's been for the last 4 or 5 seasons, and he's only like what got 20% ownership now, or even less in the top 100K. So yeah, there's a number of those factors. The big hitters not really playing up to their kind of reputations. So yeah, that's why we've got so much money in the bank.
What price is Haaland next season if he keeps this up?
Oh, I mean,
14?
I think the most expensive a player's ever been is 14 million.
Was that Henri, was it?
This I think it's Henri, Robin van Persie, and I'm not sure if Salah was 14 million one season. I don't think it was, but I definitely know Henri and Van Persie were 14 million. But I think the fact that FPL didn't price Salah at 14 million after his record-breaking season, um, I don't know. I personally think that the highest they'll go Haaland is 13.5.
Mm,
I think the way he's going, if he breaks obviously the FPL record, then I think that's what price he'll be next season.
we'll see. But we also have to have an eye on game week 23. So we're talking about United
Yeah,
assets, we're talking about Leeds assets. We need to have an eye on the week after, where there's another couple of really premium double game weeks.
yeah, yeah. And
Who,
I think
what does that, sorry, in terms of transfer strategy for this week, what's the knock on? Like, what should we be thinking? Is it a case of think about not getting rid of KDB? Don't ideally get rid of Arsenal assets? Is that kind of the gist of it?
yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people might be doing like the KDB and Bruno Hoke, right? And I think depending on how your team's set up, that could be a viable strategy. But I think generally you're going to want KDB. I mean, it's a move that I can make, and it's a move I've thought of as well. But I just think with my team, I can I'd rather sacrifice Kane than an extra transfer in
Mm.
KDB, and then bring Bruno back, and then bring KDB back in after I brought Bruno this week. So you're essentially wasting a transfer on that. But the way I see it is that, I mean, if you've already got a triple City and a triple Arsenal, then I guess and one of your City is one of your City assets is KDB, then I guess you probably could do that if you've not got any other problems elsewhere. But if you do, like myself, I've only got 2 City players at the moment, so for me to take KDB out, for me to get 3 City players in game week 23, I'd have to take a hit. So I think you've got to look at it that way. I think in most people's positions, it's probably not worth it, and you're probably just best, downgrading somebody like a Kane who hasn't got any double game weeks, and he's got City and Chelsea in the next 4. So yeah, for me, I think you need to really look at. I mean, everybody's team is going to be different, so I think you really need to plan to get 3 City and 3 Arsenal in by 23 without taking hits. And I think, and if you're looking at plans, where you're kind of taking KDB out and bringing them back in, and it's causing you a hit, then I think just kind of ignore it and go with the kind of sensible plan of getting your 3 City and 3 Arsenal players, and then trying to do it without no hits.
If I was to ask you, like, as concisely as you can, to kind of give me your top three Arsenal and top three Man City picks, like if we're all trying to optimize, in what order should we
Yeah,
prioritize? So like top three City, top three Arsenal.
I think for City, for me, it would be Haaland, Mahrez, and I'd probably go with a Kanji.
Over De Bruyne.
Yeah, because the thing is with De Bruyne, I, I think with De Bruyne right now he's a don't buy and a don't sell because Pep did drop him a few weeks ago and it was against Spurs and if you remember he played Arsenal sorry they played Spurs a few weeks ago and he dropped KDB and played Alvarez and he played really well and he scored as well. So I do think there is a chance KDB maybe doesn't get a start in one of the next three, right? So in Game Week 22 against Spurs or in one of the two double fixtures. So yeah, it's just the way it is. I mean, the fact that he was dropped, a few weeks ago was a big surprise to me, but has shown that Pep, you can't put anything past him for what he's done to Cancelo, who was an absolute nailed asset, and he dropped KDB for Alvarez. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't be buying KDB, but I think if you've got him, you stick to him. I think Mahrez is the guy who's in he's one of the players who's in Pep's good books right now. He's starting most games, and I think he's more explosive than KDB. He's got more goal threat. So yeah, for that reason, I would put him ahead of KDB. And then for my third asset, I'd go for either a Kanji or Ake. And I think KDB would probably be my fourth city option now. For
That's
Arsenal,
surprising for me. I don't know. Maybe it's again like kind of historic bias, whatever it is. KDB, absolute weapon,
yeah,
blah 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 blah. It's kind of weird to hear Mahrez ahead of him, and I get
I
the
know,
numbers, I get everything else. Like all your logic is there. It's just like
yeah.
without even thinking, I would just go KDB. You know?
Yeah, I know, and I think with most people, but I think the fact that he did get dropped and it wasn't due to fatigue or he clearly said after the match it was a tactical switch that he made, and they won that game as well. So yeah, so there's every chance he misses out one of the next three, but I mean you just can't sell him because I mean I do think he'll get at least two starts out of the next three, and for me that's probably good enough.
Well, hello to everyone in the comments. A few more comments there. Dolly Pool says he's going to miss me. If you didn't catch it, this is my last week on Hub. Have to go over and prioritize my own channel at the minute. I've got too big time,
Sad
Abdul.
news. Sad news.
But if anyone wants to follow me and what I'm at, you can look up John Ellis on YouTube or find at John Ellis. You can find Abdul at FPL Salah as well. But I imagine you'll still be around these parts. You're just going to get a new exciting host. So I'm
Yeah.
doing a stream with them tomorrow at 4 p.m. if you want to see the channel handover. But it's you're in good hands, so don't worry. But I'll be taking a wee step back, unfortunately. Moodlib here. Yeah, lots of people in the comments chatting away. Thanks for getting involved. Drop a wee like while you're here. Helps out massively. Now, I want to ask you for your top three Arsenal assets in order.
Yeah, so top three Arsenal for me is Saka. Right now, Saka, Odegaard, and Nketiah. And I think the reason for that is because with Martinelli, I think with Trossard there now, he's going to eat into his minutes. I don't think he's going to start any of the next three games or next 4 or 5 games instead of Martinelli, but he will eat into his minutes. I think he'd probably shave maybe 5 or 10 minutes a game off him or something like that. Whereas, Nketiah right now has got no competition. Jesus is probably going to be back, at least another 5 or 6 game weeks before he, starts training again. And Saka, 90-minute man on penalties, and Odegaard, he's a 90-minute man as well, and he's got the highest XGI amongst the Arsenal midfielders. He's got the highest assist threat. So yeah, for me, Saka, Odegaard, and Nketiah. But at the same time, if you've the same situation, if you've already got Martinelli, I wouldn't be moving him on to a Saka and Odegaard again, unless you're in that position where you've got your triple Arsenal, you've got your triple City, and you've got 2 free transfers sitting there. And you've got that, you're in that luxury position, then yeah, I would move Martinelli up to an Odegaard or a Saka. But if not, he's not a bad option to keep.
Just to talk about it before we get into the United assets and triple captaincies and whether or not that's happening. Just talking about like ditching premiums and selling premiums. Like, what's the kind of go-to guide if we just talk about? You've already kind of mentioned KDB, but we've also got Kane and we've also got Salah, who are kind of. I wouldn't say Kane's out of form in any stretch of the imagination, but like out of favour from an FPL perspective, based off doubles, based off whatever's. What's the play with him?
Yeah, because I think with KDB, a lot of people will be with Kane, a lot of people will be sacrificing this week because of the doubles and because the fact he's got City and Chelsea in the next 4, whereas KDB's got an extra fixture, and then they've got Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth after the double, so the fixtures are there. In terms of the good fixtures plus an extra fixture as well. So I think that's why Kane's obviously been fantastic this season, John. been one, probably the second best asset after Haaland.
Mm.
But I just think, probably now is a good time to get rid of him temporarily. For those extra fixtures. I think with Salah, I think he's definitely a sell right now for a Bruno, and then you could probably go, make that move to a KDB in 23, and then look at Liverpool assets again. Maybe after game week 25, because I think Liverpool might get a double in game week 25. If they don't, they've got a double game week in 29. So we need to start looking at Liverpool assets later on. But at the moment, the likes of Salah and Kane for me are sells. Again, I mean they're not bad keeps either. But I just think if you're looking at bringing in the likes of KDB and Bruno for the next few weeks, one of those guys will have to make way.
Mm. So the next big thing before we get on to your team revealing what you're up to is just United, right? With Rashford, with Bruno, we've already talked about United assets, but in a nutshell, let's just sort of, in terms of captaincy, which one are you captaining? Assuming you've both. If you won't have both, who would you captain if you'd both?
Yeah, I should have both by the end of this week. But for me, Rashford without a doubt. Bruno's been fantastic. I'm not saying he's a bad option, but Rashford's got that much higher goal threat. He just looks like he's in the kind of form of his life at the moment.
Yeah.
He's putting up great numbers as well. He's got the second highest XG in the league after from midfielders after Mo Salah. So yeah, I think it's a pretty easy one for me for captain. And for triple captain, unfortunately, I would used mine on Haaland, which I got a very modest 8 points. If I had my triple captain this week, honestly, I think I'd be really, really torn between game week 22 and 23 on Haaland. I just think City's fixtures, they've got Villa at home and then Arsenal away is difficult, yeah, but it's Haaland here we're talking about. So I would be really torn. I mean, Rashford is in, scintillating form, looking at his underlying numbers as well, it's the best we've been in years. So yeah, if I had my triple captain, I'd honestly probably be leaning towards using it on Rashford this week.
I completely agree. If I had my triple captainship, if I didn't spunk it all at Erling Haaland in a moment of madness. It wasn't a moment of madness. I think at the time it was a decision I was happy with. Yeah, at the time I was very happy with the decision. But this week I would 100% use my triple captain on Rashford. 100%, without a doubt. I think everything you've said, the form, the fixtures, the everything. It's just the time. Yeah. It's the one. So if you haven't done it, go and do it. We're seeing shouts for Nonto or Gnonto, not sure how we're supposed to say it. Triple captain there from Dalipool. I don't know if he's the balls to actually come through with that. Moodlib agrees, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I would say that the one thing that would put me off triple captain Rashford this week is that I think he's got I think he's more likely to blank in his double than Haaland is, which is one thing that would put me off. I do think that kind of historically he's been quite a streaky player, Rashford, and I wouldn't be surprised at all, honestly, if he blanks in these next two games. Easy games on paper, but I just don't see Haaland blanking in game week 23. So that's the one thing that would kind of put me off Rashford. Just a kind of balance argument.
Yeah, no, because I'm very everyone go and do it, get it done, everyone, and I'm kind of I don't want them to do it because they're just going to gain rank on me, I think.
Yeah.
Even is this going to be a week where if you captain Rashford, you don't want them to score? Is that where we're going?
I think so. You know that because Haaland's effective ownership was 206%. I think Rashford's ownership will be over 200%. So yeah, I think if you're captaining him, then you're not going to want him to do well.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Yeah, I do think I think the way, because he's been scoring in the cup games and the way he's been scoring, I think a lot of people will just be triple captaining him. So I do think his EO is going to be sky high.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
All right, it's time to have a look at your team. I have it in the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub as you had it set, last week. So there's no changes made here. I want you to talk through our changes very quickly first. Just to reply to Magic69 FPL content, my main channel. My main channel is going to be, it's a lot of football shorts, and then there'll be sort of fantasy related stuff probably in pre-season, and there'll be a lot of, I've actually got an interview with the World Cup winner. Bit of fun coming out either tomorrow or early next week, so it'll be kind of premium vloggy content. Yeah, going down that avenue. We've got access to footballers and things, so it'll be me talking shite to footballers.
Can you tell us who it is?
Rhymes with Schmurd Schmike. Recently retired. Used to go out with Schmakira.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, because you got a selfie with him. I
Yeah,
seen that.
yeah, yeah.
You
So yeah,
mingling
no,
with the
it's coming
Tasman,
out.
rubbing shoulders with.
Yeah. So
Brilliant,
yeah,
brilliant.
no, I'm
I'll
looking
look out
forward to
for it.
that. So yeah, that's the sort of stuff will be on my main channel. But anyway, enough of that. Back to FPL. Abdul, this is your team
Yeah,
as it stands. A million in the bank, if I'm correct. I know you might have made
yeah.
moves already, or maybe you didn't. But one or two free transfers this week.
I've got 2 free transfers this week, John, and
Cool.
I'll probably. I mean, I've got two avenues here. So the first avenue and the one that I'm leaning towards is Kane and Almiron to Nketiah and Bruno. So that gives me, three United players and three Arsenal. It's kind of prepared me for. I think Arsenal got a good fixture this week against Everton, and they also got the double. So it's kind of prepared me for the next 2 weeks, and then I can get a third City player in game week 23. But the other option is, doing what I was talking about earlier was, the KDB switch. So KDB to Bruno, which allows me to keep Kane, and then go back to like a KDB in 23 or even a Mahrez if I wanted. But then that leaves me a double game week player short, and I'll need to either go with one less double game week player or take a hit. So yeah, so I'm not really fancying that one, but it does allow me to keep Kane and have that option of going Mahrez instead of KDB. So yeah, so right now I'm favouring towards the first option.
So with the first option, I mean, this is just a ridiculous thing when you think of it. Like, and this is where a lot of us are. Triple United for the double. You'll
Yeah.
have double City with another one to come. You have triple Arsenal against Everton, followed by a double. You have Kieran Trippier, who's just a wizard. Kepa, Chelsea goalkeeper, who've signed about 600 million worth of players this season. I was writing
Yeah.
a script for a short before this video, and like it's obscene what they've done. Mitrovic there is probably the weak link of this whole team, but he's for us next week, so it
Yeah.
just looks beautiful, and it's mad that we can afford this, as I mentioned earlier
I know.
in the conversation. But I think you're not far off what I'm thinking of doing. It's very similar to me. At the minute, I'm talking Kende and Kedia, Amaron to Fernandez, and I will be in an identical position, bar goalkeeper and maybe one or two others. If you played this week, you'd have a game week rating of 88% with 92 predicted points. Would you take 92 predicted points if I handed them to you right now, or would you say let's roll the dice?
No, I think I would take that. I think that would be a definite green arrow. So yeah, I would take 92.
Take a 92.
That I think that means Rashford doesn't get a very high score, so I would take that.
You do, yeah. Cool. Well, look, there's nearly 300 people here. Drop a like on the video before you hit the road and subscribe to Fantasy Football Hub. Abdul, it's been a pleasure over the course
You
of the
too.
season. You're still going to be here. Best of
Yeah.
luck with your new host.
Thank you, John.
And you can find Abdul at FPL Salah and me at John Ellis. We'll see you very, very soon.